Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 28th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Bill Bank Greene. Bank, let's start off with the young man from Hawaii, Enokk Vimahi. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, but Vimahi, sounds like the visit went really well to Ohio State over the weekend. Just what are you being told about him, Bank?
Yeah, I heard the same thing. Heard everything went well, and Ohio State is clearly in the mix there. Ryan Day is going to do a home visit, which, you know, feel really bad for Ryan Day on that home visit, having to go there.
Right.
But, yeah, I think everything went well. I think they're clearly in the mix. You know, when he postponed his decision, it was supposed to be at the Polynesian Bowl. It was definitely going to be USC. Well, when he postponed that, you know, to come to Columbus, it definitely raised some eyebrows. And, you know, the visit went great. Everything you read, everything I've been told, everything is amazing. The only thing that kind of threw a red flag for me into this that I did not know about was the 2-year mission that's going to start in 2020. So the school that signs him is going to get him for a year. I think he's a redshirt guy. I don't see him starting anywhere, you know, at this level as a true freshman. So you get him for a year, you redshirt him for a year, then you're going to lose him for 2 years. So that took a little shine off the rose there for me. I mean, he's a heck of a player. You know, you take him, you know, but, man, that really changed things a lot. I did not know that about him. So I think they can get him. I think they're right there in the mix, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that situation, but you hit on everything there. It's I don't remember another situation like that at Ohio State where they've recruited a young man that's a Mormon, and he would, you know, you see it all the time, obviously, at BYU, shockingly, that being a Mormon institution, where a guy comes in, maybe plays a year or plays 2 years and goes on his mission, or some guys go out on their mission right out of high school and come in. It would be unique, but, you know, it sounds like they're giving him the long view on this, like, you know, they even right up to what classes he would take right up until he gets his MBA. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I'm with you. That really threw a monkey wrench in the plans, but because he really wouldn't be like a factor, you know, as far as depth chart until probably 2022. So one more thing about him before we move on to other guys, Bank. My friend Jeremy Birmingham from Letterman Roast said that he reported that I don't think this was very much known, that Vimahi is related to Tommy Togiai and Brandon Bowen. I'm not sure what distant cousins maybe, but that's another interesting twist here, that Vimahi is at least somewhat related to Tommy Togiai and Brandon Bowen. Yeah,
and even more interesting that he didn't know it till he got here this weekend. You know, so you know. I don't know, you know, like I say, I try not to get involved in the family tree thing. It can get kind of confusing. I mean, it's a good thing. Obviously, he felt comfortable with those guys. So, like I say, I think they're right there. I think it's a coin flip. I also think I was told Oklahoma is in this thing, that, you know, not to discount Oklahoma. So we'll see what happens here. I think it's, you know, they're right there in the mix, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, the 2-year thing, it has worked well for BYU because what you get a more mature and older guy, you know. So the long-term view of this is really good. But, I mean, Ohio State needs help, you know, in 2019, 2020, you know, we're looking that way. That was kind of throwing cold water on the thing, you know, when I looked at that. But, you know, looking long-term, you really do get a more mature and experienced guy, and you're out there with a 22, 23-year-old one day, you know, and that's worked well for BYU over the years. They planned for that, and it has worked well for them.
No doubt about it. So what they do, before we move on, I mean, what they do? Did they do like a DNA test? Did they break out some 23andMe to figure out they were related? Do you even know how do you just find this out on a visit? Like, oh, by the way, we're related. Like I don't even know how that went down.
I don't know. I guess it's, do you know this guy? And yeah, I know him. Well, he's like my uncle. Well, he's my cousin. You know, I don't know, Dave. Man, we're gonna get in trouble here. We better move on.
We're gonna get in trouble. That's a story of my life. So it would just fit right in, Bank. It fit right in. So I wouldn't miss a beat. Jonah Jackson. Let's actually move on though. Jonah Jackson's a name that come on the radar. Speaking of a guy that can help right away, Rutgers grad transfer. Ohio State has offered Jonah Jackson. He'd be a fifth-year senior, 2-year start at Rutgers. Started at center for at least half the season in 2017, and started throughout the season this past year at guard. And people are going to say, oh, they don't need another guard. They need depth. And this guy was honorable mention All Big Ten. Obviously, Ohio State wants him. They've offered him a scholarship. Just what are you hearing about Jonah Jackson?
Well, I don't know where he's going to go. He's supposed to visit Ohio State. I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, this guy's a football player. He's a really good football player, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So anyone saying that Ohio State doesn't need him, he would have started at Ohio State last year. Knox would have been sitting last year, or Pridgeon. He's a better player than them. And I would take him over. You know, I like Wyatt Davis a lot, so I'm leaving Wyatt Davis where he is. But then you start looking at Josh Myers, Brandon Bowen, who we don't know if he's ever going to be who we thought he was a couple years ago, Gavin Cupp, Matthew Jones. Come on. You know, Jonah Jackson's a better football player than all those guys. Jonah Jackson's going to play in the NFL someday. You know, you take this guy right now, and he's going to start at Ohio State if he comes. So you don't have to worry that he's coming to provide depth or he's coming, you know, he's going to start if he comes to Ohio State. He's going to start if he goes to Oklahoma. He's going to start if he goes to Penn State. You know, don't discount the fact that he was on a terrible football team. You know, they were terrible, but not because of him. You know, go look at his Pro Football Focus grade. Go look at how they have him rated. This he's a great football player. I mean, or maybe not great, but he's darn good. I mean, and wherever he goes next year, he's going to start. So you take him with open arms.
Yeah, they can use darn good offensive linemen that are fifth-year seniors. Sign me up for that. So that's hopefully Ohio State can get that done. That sounds like a good fit there. Doug Nestor, you know, it seems like a daily question, maybe thrice daily. What are you hearing about Doug Nestor? What is the very latest? You think he'll be a Buckeye?
You know, I still do. I still think at the end of this sojourn here that he does sign with Ohio State. I think his family really wants him at Ohio State. And I don't know, the Penn State people seem to feel like they're in it. You know, and everybody's trying to get him to cancel visits. That was the funny thing. Ohio State did not want him to go to Penn State. Penn State does not want him to go to Virginia Tech. I think he is going to take that Virginia Tech visit. So, you know, I would have this down to me. I think Ohio State, you know, possessions, you know, I don't know what percent of the law it is. It's pretty high. They have the commitment right now. So, you know, I think they're in pretty good shape here. Excuse me, but you know, we got to see how this last visit ends up. If I have to make a prediction, I'm sticking with Ohio State here. But boy, that's in pencil. It's not in pen.
Right, one of those you wouldn't bet on it if you had to. Maybe you'd bet like a nickel at the most. One of those situations. I'm with you. I feel like if I had to just bet, it would be Doug Nestor going to Ohio State, but I wouldn't bet very much. Dawand Jones, what are you hearing on Dawand Jones? Do you think he'll be a Buckeye?
I do. I think they're in really good shape with him. I think he had a great visit last weekend. You know, he's still taking visits too, so this is, you know, not exactly a done deal, but I think Ohio State is definitely the team to beat for Dawand Jones. I think they're going to sign him. So he would be the one I would probably feel the best about of this group. You know, but, you know, if you can get Nestor and if you can pull Vimahi for later down the road, Dawand Jones would be a project to help you down the road. But Jonah Jackson, the one you mentioned before, this guy will affect the 2019 one-loss record. So he would be the one that, you know, in one of those live for today moments, that'd be the guy. That's the guy that affects next year's one-loss record. So he would be at the top of the chart for me.
Yeah, that'd be huge to get going back to Jonah Jackson, like you mentioned. That would be immediate. And obviously, he's, as you mentioned, he's not going to go somewhere unless he knows he's going to start. And there's definitely room for him to start at Ohio State. There's no doubt about it. That'd be huge. And I think I'm probably more excited about Dawand Jones than anybody. I mean, you just can't teach 6'8", 360, and I know his film. He's not like Taylor Decker on the gridiron. I get that, okay, but still, the fact that he is a D1 basketball recruit, I like that. That means he's not completely out there just like in clogs and can't move around. And you know, I think I'm probably more excited about Dawand Jones than anybody. I just love his size.
He has size. There's no way to argue that. I just, to me, he would have a long way to go. Now, would I take him in the situation they're in? Yeah, absolutely. If it came down to him or Darnell Wright, would I rather have Darnell Wright? Yes, I would. So I take him, and you work with him, and you develop him, and going in that this is a 2 or a 3 year deal. So don't get frustrated after 1 year. So you know that going in, the time you have to put in with him. So yeah, there could be a big payoff. Like you say, you don't find those 6'8" guys, very often that can move. So would I take him? Yes. Would I rather have others? Yes.
Well said. Well said. Good breakdown there from the bank. Hey, before I let you go, just Justin Fields, I mean, I get this question asked a lot. Is there any concern that he might not be eligible immediately? And I tell people, I think everything's fine. He's going to be eligible immediately, but it's the NCAA, so we never know. And now our buddy Steve Hellwagon posted the story last night on Bucknuts. I don't know if you've seen this yet. We posted it pretty late that now Al Sharpton is speaking out on behalf of Justin Fields, and that got about 300 downvotes on on our message board. Just people see that, they're just like, downvote. They didn't even see what Steve Hellwagon wrote. But what are you telling people when they ask you, is there anything to worry about with Justin Fields being eligible immediately?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think the NCAA is they've got so many of these to deal with right now. I mean, this is the new thing now, the transfer thing. And I think they're going to rubber stamp all these guys. How are they going to pick and choose? To do a full investigation, you wouldn't get a report back on every one of these guys for another year. I think they're going to rubber stamp all these guys and just say, the heck with it. We're not going to choose our battles on this. I think free agency is here, and I think this is the start of it, and I think this is where we're going, and I don't see how the NCAA can rule against Justin Fields unless you're going to rule against all these guys, and they may decide to draw a line in the sand now. I just don't think so. The Al Sharpton thing, I don't know. I think it speaks for itself, but I think Justin's going to be eligible. I think Tate Martell's going to be eligible. I think they're going to rubber stamp all these guys. And I think they think this is where the game is headed. And they're going to have to deal with it.
You've been saying it for a while, and I agree with you. I mean, free agency is here. And if it's not complete free agency, it's damn close. And it's here. Not a lot of people.
It's close.
Yeah. I think not a lot of people know it yet, but we're getting the word out there. Great stuff as always from Bill Bank Greene. Really appreciate it, Bank, and hope everyone has a great day. Let's get Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.